Our guest speaker today is Bruce Budde. He's the Executive Vice President of Administration and Finance at ICC, currently responsible for campus police, facilities, finance, and business services, in addition to human resources and technology. Bruce has been with the college since 1993 and has worked in various positions, including serving as interim president, and is currently the lead negotiator for many of the college's collective bargaining units. And we just finished up a process to collectively bargain with the faculty, a bunch of divas. Bruce is a longtime Peoria resident, as he graduated from Manual High School and went to obtain a bachelor's degree from Millikan and an MBA from the University of Illinois Springfield. Before joining ICC, he started his career with Price Waterhouse as a CPA and led him to waste management companies in Chicago, where he worked in various corporate positions that supported the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, financial reporting, and internal audit. In addition to Bruce's background and current role, he has also served as an adjunct faculty member and guest lecturer on the topics of interest-based bargaining, accounting, and finance. At one period when I was the interim dean, Bruce was one of my employees who also signed my check. So try and figure out the performance appraisal on that one. Please welcome to talk about ICC, Bruce Budde.
Thank you, Scott. And not all the faculty are divas.
No,
Just Scott.
no,
Scott, that's great. Oh, and again, I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about one of my favorite topics, ICC. Obviously, I've been, as Scott indicated, been with the college for a number of years. Associated with the college goes back as an auditor with Price Waterhouse in 1986. So that tells you how I'm a very old person. But the association and the different perspectives I've gained with ICC over time has just been really exciting. It's been a great part. No better time to be a part of ICC. And we're going to talk a little bit about where the college is, where it is now, and where we're going with things. And I think it's very exciting opportunities for the future. And we've kind of not stayed, higher ed doesn't reinvent itself very well. Community colleges are very nimble, and ICC in particular is really focused on how we need to change and respond to the needs of the community, the needs of our students, and make those changes. So we'll talk a little bit about some of those things. So get us moving here. Why ICC? So as ICC, we talk about the high quality education. So it is Scott and Julia is here too. Our faculty are the reason why ICC is what it is. The quality of the faculty and the fact that these are professional faculty. They're not the university model where they have to do research and other factors. These folks are focused on lecturing and teaching and excellence in all that they do in the classroom. And again, attaining credentialing leading to a family-sustaining wage. So we talk a lot about that whole credentialing piece. And as we look at ourselves, look at what we offer, very important that we are creating the opportunities for our students, that they're coming away from us, whatever their goals are, that they have a family-sustaining wage when they come out. So we'll talk a little bit about workforce programs as well. And then to ensure future financial security at a fraction of the cost. So obviously, affordability and accessibility is key. The ICC has been a part of the core of what we're all about. So we need to be affordable and accessible. We have the 3 locations that most of you know, and some of this is just pretty common knowledge, I think, for most of us. Peoria campus, East Peoria, and Pekin. The Peoria campus is we took that campus on in about 2002. At that time, we had basically restructured and said, you know, we're going to move away from the downtown buildings and really create a comprehensive campus in the heart of Peoria. And this was a great opportunity where we have 65 acres, 265,000 square feet of space in about 7 different buildings. We have more specialized programs out there, the health careers, the culinary arts, our corporate training, and a variety of other kind of general classrooms out there. So if you've never been to the Peoria campus, I encourage you to go out and take a tour, and we're happy to take you around. A lot of good programming out there. The East Peoria campus, that's been our kind of our flagship, our core. Been there for obviously since we started in the late 60s. We're in the process of a lot of refurbishing and kind of looking at that facility and what can we do to make it more relevant and friendly to the students and accessible to the program. So we're going through a comprehensive facility master plan to look at what we do and really not try to minimize our footprint to the extent, but really optimize the space and how we use that space. And then the Pekin facility, this is an older picture. We've been doing some work out there, a smaller presence in Pekin, but very relevant to that community and that part of our district. So when you look at our district, it's a very wide district. And so it's important that we have access for the folks there. And we've expanded to include EMS, our welding programs, and CNA programs at the Pekin location. This is our district. So the district is pretty wide. And as you can see, a fairly significant stretch from what in the group that we serve, which creates some unique challenges because it's a very diverse district. And we have the urban setting within Peoria, but then we also have the rural settings throughout. And we go as far north as far south as, I guess we call it San Jose, not San, we have our own pronunciation in Illinois for these towns. But so very wide district as well. And, you know, this is Dr. Kirk Bailey's slide presentation. I had to put one financial slide in there anyway. It's just in my DNA. But I thought it was interesting. I thought you might find it interesting as you look at our funding models for community colleges. When they were set up back in the mid-'60s, they're really designed to be a one-third, one-third, one-third. So one-third from tuition, one-third from property taxes, and one-third from the state. Everybody else is held up to their bargain except for the state part, right? So that's been the challenge we face. And we always try to minimize and optimize the resources that we have available to us, but without a burden to any one of those particular areas, in particular the taxpayers as well as the students. So we have to remain focused on affordability and accessibility. At the same time, have the resources to provide a quality education for our students. So as you can see, that split back in 2002 is when it really was the last time we were in that model. It is widely split. And you can see back in 16, we kind of hit we hit a red line where we had no funding with no budget at that time. And so what we do too is try to maintain and manage our reserves in a way that minimizes any type of disruption to our operations. So it's very key and important. And again, what we do here now as we kind of move into today's environment, what are other resources available to us? So we'll talk about a lot of federal, state funding that we try to get to for special purposes to help supplement and support our operations, but also we have a very robust foundation. Brian Johnson here is on our board. Julie is on our board too of the foundation. And that foundation is a huge support for the college and for our students too. And so that's where we try to, again, not burden any one of the areas that help support us and try to ensure that we have the resources to ensure that we're going to have quality products going forward. And I left on your table a sheet that basically the fast facts. This fast facts gives you a little bit more information about the demographics of our students, gives you some context of the volume of the degrees we grant and the certificates and such. You may find it interesting. It does show the diversity. And one of the things I think people are really surprised by is 70% of our enrollment is part-time. And so we see that as it's a nice bridge for many of our students that are managing a lot of other things. So when we talk about the student support that we need to provide, these students are dealing with a lot of different issues. And we have students all the way from basically from the folks that are coming through our GD programs all the way to honor students and all. So we have a really wonderful mix of students that we work with. As a matter of fact, Dr. Kirk Bailey, who would normally do these presentations, is going to be here. She is with an alum at the NASA Jet Propulsion Lab in California. And we're very proud of that alum, and we always like to comment that we also did our part in training rocket scientists. But we said, so we have a variety of folks that have come through us for different needs and reasons. So you look at our different profile, and again, you can kind of see this with the sheet at your table. And what I wanted to do is you look at intended outcome. Intended outcome is interesting as we've seen a shift here. And as an institution, ICC was a very strong transfer organization. We did have a four-year public institution in our district, ISU being the closest, and obviously Bradley being a private institution. But we see a shift, and we see we're still a very strong transfer institution. What that means is basically coming here for the first 2 years and going on to a private or public school. And we're also seeing a really strong uptick in our workforce. And that workforce folks are people that are coming through programming, and this is the blend of the credit and non-credit type work that we're doing, and really trying to get those folks from a place where they haven't had the experience with ICC or anything past high school and get into the workforce. We'll talk about that because one of the gaps that we always talk about, I know Dr. Cork Bailey always talks about, is the gap for credentialing within our communities. The credentialing should be at about 60%, some type of post-high school credential to be basically successful and accessible to that family sustaining wage. Right? So we're really closer to that 40% mark. So there's a gap there that we're really very focused on. And our workforce programs that we've been developing, I think, have really enhanced us and got us much closer to that mark and moving in the right direction. So we have a wide range of study, and again, less of a commercial here, but 150 plus areas of study that we offer at the college. And a lot of this, again, whether these are transfer programs or they're certificate programs, or again, trying to get folks from credential to the workforce. This is interesting too, as we talk about the reinventing and adapting what we are and how we do what we do. We're looking at these areas of study. And are we providing the right types of study? Are we providing the right type of program? I think we're always looking at that and trying to ensure that we're relevant for the students, but relevant for the workforce that we're supporting too. Multiple class formats, in-person, online, hybrid, and earn and learn. So these formats have really evolved a little bit from the pandemic. So the pandemic, before pandemic, we had online courses and we had maybe 15% of our courses were online. After that, obviously, when we went into the pandemic, everything had to be online for a period of time, which was a great stress point, I know, no doubt, on our faculty and others to actually be able to deliver in that way. And so we focused and we provided resources, and the faculty really stepped up to be better at offering those online courses, because there's a process, it's not a correspondence course just to put everything out there. It really is a certain level of engagement in changing what you do and how you deliver those courses to make it relevant and appropriate. So we stepped up that way. In the hybrid, what you're seeing as a hybrid is some combination of that online and in-person type work. Earn and learn programs are really important programs, and we've seen an uptick there. This plays into our workforce. What that means is many times these are grant-funded programs. We're providing a stipend or dollars for the students to attend while they're getting the certification or going through a process. These are typically a little bit more accelerated, but gives the opportunity for that student who couldn't go to school because they have to work. And now they can actually earn some money while they're going to school and have the ability to get their credential. And again, we'll talk about the acceleration of some of these programs as well. And tuition costs, that's where affordability, accessibility is very key. And these are actually, the sheet actually has some more updated date dollars on this, but this is where we stay committed to managing that tuition at a low enough level, but then also balancing that we do have increases in that tuition to make sure that we're providing the quality of the training and paying our faculty and paying others and having the resources to provide a quality product. And college credit while in high school. This is really exciting, and actually these students are extremely motivated, much more motivated probably than I was going to high school, because these guys, the programs we have now with several area schools, these guys are graduating with a degree from ICC and a degree from the high school at the same time. So the seniors are walking out with both. So they are prepared. So this is one of the things we talk about, how we align curriculum programs, not only with the business world, but also through our K-12 partners, all the way up through the university models. How can we make it easier? And again, this is not without some challenges and changes, and we really appreciate our faculty and how they respond and adjust to these changes that we have. Because a lot of this coursework is we have dual enrollment and dual credit. And so you heard early college in general is how we framed that. These students, some students, and many of your students might have done this, have captured college credit while they're in high school. These guys are actually getting degrees in both when they go on. So pretty impressive program. And we see a lot of uptick, a lot of growth. Not for everybody. Obviously, you have to be very motivated to get through this. But we're seeing a lot in the early college pieces where students can come in, pick up a course or two or several credit hours. They come into ICC better prepared because now they have the rigor of a college level type course. They're better prepared for college, whether they come to ICC or 4 years ago. And so it's better prepared, it's more efficient, We talk about the efficiency because you think overall, globally, the cost of college and university is significant, right? So ladening these students with heavy levels of debt is significant. So how can we avoid that? Well, our partnering, our aligning with our universities, our aligning with our K through 12s helps facilitate that process. And there's no compromise in quality. That's the key in all these programs. And credentialing options, we talk about certificates and degrees. Traditionally, come through, we think ICC, okay, you're going to get an associate degree in something, or associate degree so I can transfer on to for your university. In this case, we're talking a little bit more about degrees, and we're talking about micro-credentials and credentialing, and micro pathing and pathways, and stackable credentials. So those are kind of the newer terminologies, if you will, that were out there. And the importance of that is, again, focusing on moving away from our traditional fall, spring, summer semesters. When can I start? When can I get into a program? Instead of having to wait till August to start everything, there's opportunities to start into these programs on a more frequent basis and also move through these programs. We talk about that from a competency-based perspective in this micro-credentialing to allow folks to get a credential that they might be able to leverage to get into the workforce, and then grow and add credentialing that's stackable as they continue their pathway up through businesses. And that's why our partnerships and connections with the area businesses and in that community has been significant, because we can deliver the types of programs that those groups and companies need. And there's some other big wins that we talk about. We obviously talk about some of the things we've done from an equity and inclusion perspective. We're recognized nationally for that. I think the interesting piece here is reducing developmental education by 66% and increasing the student completion rates. So one of the issues we have is folks coming in ill-prepared or not prepared. And obviously Scott and others see that, right? And any of us teaching, as I teach, you're just not ready. So how can we get those students ready? And part of that is curricular alignment, work with our K through 12s, but it's also changing the model on how we traditionally would bring people through developmentally ed programs. These developmental programs are non-college level. Essentially, we're providing training and coursework that probably could have, should have, maybe happened at the high school level. And we're also looking at how we manage entrance exams too. You're talking about an entrance exam, well, traditionally you'd have to take an exam to see where you place. Can you place in math or English at a college level? And we found that a better indicator of success was actually their GPA in high school versus these testing. So test anxiety and a few other things. We were keeping some or throwing a lot of students into developmental coursework and putting on a path that was adding to their time that they're going to have to take to get to their end result, their degree, or what have you. So by changing that model, we're actually moving folks through those processes quicker and avoiding some of these developmental courses in some cases and still having success in those coursework. But they're also creating boot camp type style developmental courses. So we're moving them through that developmental training in a more efficient way instead of, again, breaking away from a traditional full semester or full year of courses to get up to speed. A lot of times we find our adult learners are coming through and they don't need a full semester, a full year of math. They need a refresher. So anybody here, we could do an algebra problem out there right now. And you probably maybe not so good at algebra right now, because I'm not sure that most of us are using algebra daily, as we always kind of talk about it in a funny way. But all you need is a refresher, and we can get you there. You don't need a whole semester to get you there. So changing how we deliver that, I think, is really key. Efficiency, it's important for the student. They're not burning up all their financial aid. They're moving through the process, right? And redesign our academic advising process. We actually increased our satisfaction rates there. And the important one I'll talk about a little bit more is this impacting 10,000 lives through the workforce division. So we created this workforce division, again, focused on capturing a market within our areas in our district that was underutilized and under accessed. And we always would worry about, well, okay, they might be disenfranchised for whatever reason. The normal system process didn't work well for them. And so capturing some of these students and bringing them through and building some basic skills has been huge and significant for them. And we look at our strategic plan. We have a pretty aggressive strategic plan going forward for the next 5 years and focus on these key areas. and belonging, transformation, success, integration. And the one in transformation, I think, is really creates the real opportunity for our community, and is important for our college as well. Because we're also focused, again, on not being afraid of change and changing and adapting to what our models need to be to serve to support our students, importantly, in their success, but also the community and the business community in particular. Are we training people for the right skill sets in the right way, in an efficient way, really changing the frequency of how we deliver, the timing of when we deliver, and meeting our students where they need to be, leveraging these different forms of content, the online, the hybrid, and some of those things, to really be much more efficient to meet the needs and get a trained workforce. And so, as we say, rowing in all the same direction. I think this is an important one. So I see the whole continuum being from, again, the K through 12 system. That's even middle school to high school to us, a 4-year institution, and to the workforce, wherever that might fall. It's really key that we have and continue the dialogue we have at all those levels to make sure we're adjusting and adapting. And I think ICC is really well positioned to do that. The Regional Workforce Alliance is huge. This is funding that we received. And really, ICC was the major proponent of getting this off the ground. With help from funding from our local legislators at the state level. We are basically the group that has set this up. Dr. Kirk Bailey and her team have set this up for the statewide Workforce Alliance. And it's been huge and significant for an impact in our communities. And this is a GPEAK. This is an interesting piece too. The GPEAK, as we talk to other community members and local businesses, labor unions and such, so what's a missing link? And I think many of us have done this when we hire individuals. What's missing? Some of the soft skills, essential soft skills, not necessarily always taught in the community college or in some of our courses, but embedding some of this training into what are those essential skills that these students need to have to be successful in the workforce. Not only just to have the credential, but how are you going to be successful when you get out into the workforce? So embedding some of those skills into actually the curriculum has been huge and significant for now having a trained workforce that's meaningful for folks that we're serving and supporting. You have an regionally aligned economic workforce, and again, this is us listening to the community and being a partner with our workforce out there. We've had a variety of different programs that have come to us, and again, we talked about, I mentioned earlier, increasing credentialed workforce from 40% to 60%. That's our overall goal. We've seen some movement in that. And Dr. Kirk Bailey, that was our focus when she came in 8 years ago. And we've seen a significant movement. And as you said, we've impacted 10,000 lives in the workforce program. So we're seeing the movement we need to. We just need to kind of keep that momentum going. We had one of the rare new buildings we built is a workforce sustainability building that we put on the East Peoria campus. And this building is designed to help us with the workforce programs, pre-apprenticeship type programs. So we're working with our unions as well. So we'll do their pre-apprenticeship work, getting some of the unskilled labor folks that might, as I said, maybe disenfranchised with the whole process, getting them into a mix, building their confidence, building some discipline, and getting to a point where they can move into then some of the skilled trades or other apprenticeship type programs. And it's been very successful in both ways in helping their pipeline and having a trained workforce. And then we also do our HVAC programs, our truck driver training programs out of this new facility on campus. In the workforce division overall, as I said, it's impacted over 10,000 students, 3,300 credentials earned. So really significant impact here. And the important aspect here is those wraparound services and providing the services and support, because you have people that are first generation students, have never been through a process or went through a process and failed for whatever reason, might have been incarcerated. There's a variety of things that could have been barriers for these individuals to their entry into the workforce. And getting to that family sustaining wage, that's our objective, right? And so those wraparound services are part of this program as well. And one thing here, when we talk about that funding model, right now we have an antiquated funding model at the state level. And so we're working very hard with our state officials to say, we need this workforce money. Can't just be grant dependent, because sometimes those grant dollars go away. they really need to be a part of our basic funding formula model going forward, because this is a significant part of what we do and really the benefit for us to the community. Apprenticeships and earn and learns. Apprenticeships have really gained a lot of steam with a lot of local businesses. Again, a great way for basically a business. We do some teaching, so you might be 4 weeks on, 4 weeks off. So 4 weeks in the classroom, 4 weeks at the site working for the company. We've had a number of apprenticeship programs, and as I mentioned, the earn and learn programs, which are again mostly funded through state and local dollars or federal dollars in some cases, to where we're paying stipends for those students to go through these programs, accelerating the programs, getting them to a point that they can earn on their own. And again, we've delivered a lot of the supplement to our own budget has come through grants. $15 million Good Jobs Challenge grant is one we're very, very proud of, and it's significant. So it's creating 1,000 jobs, 1,000 trained employees for the workforce in Central Illinois. And these students can go through these programs, IT-related programs, without any cost to them. And this is a federal grant that we received just recently, and in collaboration with Bradley University, Eureka, and other institutions as well. So it's a regional impact, and we're significant, very proud of receiving those dollars. Again, that workforce ecosystem, the training we're doing here, very significant. So I wanted to buzz through that fairly quick on some of the information. I think, what we talk about, I think I was going to say in closing, but that's always the most favorite part, because that really gets everyone's attention again. It's like, but in closing, I did want to say, I want to emphasize ICC's focus as community colleges on supporting and sustaining the viability of our community, right? And we believe in working close with our partners in the business community, in the academic world, the K through 12, the feeder schools. We have 30 plus feeder high schools that come into our district, so it's a very large district. Working with the universities, the unions, and others. Very, very important to align those resources, to make sure we're being efficient and streamlined with the curricular and the programs that we're offering. And I think we're really focused on making those changes, adapting to what's needs to be done in our community. And as I'm confident that by adapting and changing, that we can continue to be the economic driver by providing a trained workforce. So I appreciate your patience and your attention, and I'd be happy to answer any questions about ICC in general.
I just want to brag on one other thing. We have another campus in Pekin. It's through my department. I have nothing to do with it. It's Dean Weghorst and Professor Elizabeth Goodness. We are the higher ed provider to the Pekin Federal Penitentiary, and she is providing that education. And the question is a business education we're giving them. And we once asked, well, why aren't we training them to become accountants or something? Because no one will hire a felon. So the program that is particularly successful that we're doing is entrepreneurship, because these people have been sitting around with a lot of time to think about what they might do when they get out. And we're training them in entrepreneurship because that might be the only option available to them. And we've been recognized on a national level for that program. It's really just getting off the board. It's created a lot of work for Elizabeth and Michelle, but it's a great program. Questions?
That's a great program, because that's actually, we were the first in the country to get that done.
Yeah, now they want us to replicate it everywhere else, and we don't have the...
It actually, that's where Dr. Kurt Baylor was out recently at the White House, meeting with the president and others, talking about how we replicate and scale up the workforce programs we're putting here regionally. How do we do that nationally?
Thank you for coming today. I recently became aware of a program on ICC's campus called International Friends that works with international students. And I wondered if you knew how many international students are enrolled at ICC, and how is it that an institution like ICC has an international reach?
It's a great question. Actually, Scott has.
We get international students through a variety of programs. People who have come here to work with Caterpillar, who are, things like that. Also, our soccer programs are primarily staffed by international students. We at one time had a program with a university in China, which for reasons you can probably figure out has kind of fizzled away. But so we get international students from a variety of sources. And it's interesting to facilitate them because for most of them, they can't take online classes. It's a restriction of further education that they have to do face-to-face classes. So we have to channel them and work with them specifically. So we get them from a variety of sources, and we just created an organizational structure to help them through. You know, they can come to us, and as their parent or whatever gets transferred somewhere else, we'll lose them or whatever. But we just recognize the fact that those international students have unique needs and unique specifications for what we have to do with them. I would say, if I had to guess, I think the number is somewhere between 30 and 50.
Right.
I think that's my impression.
Yeah, we've gone as high, I mean, we've been 100 plus at one point when Caterpillar was in heyday before the pandemic, so those numbers did drop. And some of the collaborations we had with China at one point helped our numbers. But it has dropped, but I think it is an area of focus and emphasis because we have student housing on campus. We have a number of services and support that we can help support that international community too. It just helps with diversity, you know, from the rest of our student body too. So it's a great opportunity for us. English as a second language, as we increase the Hispanic population in our community, we have to be responsive and aware that there's changes within our demographics as well. Great, thank you. It's great having Scott here too.
I know during COVID there was a lot of online classes. Is there still any online classes going on?
Absolutely. Online, actually, we bridged from, as I said, our numbers were about 15% of courses online. And one of the slides I might have moved through pretty quick, that mix has changed significantly. So we have, I think, 30+% of our students are taking some online courses. We have the ability to take pretty much your whole program online. I had a nephew, as an example, was a business major, took his whole program, got his degree online. I don't think he ever left his bedroom. I don't optimize that for everybody, but he was a 4.0 student, so it's working for him. So those are the opportunities. Again, what works for each. So and I think we see a convergence, probably better answered by Scott too, is moving towards this hybrid type, because you have the opportunity to leverage technology in a different way, in a more meaningful way to provide that online teaching. I teach an online course now. I prefer face-to-face because you have that stronger connection. Some of our students, as we talk to our students, I went online, I want to get this done. You know, it's easier. I can do it at my leisure. I can do it when I have time. So it is another way to just meet the needs of our students, meet them where they are and where they want to be.
Yeah, one of the things we did, we changed from Blackboard to Canvas, which is the online learning system, in part because you can get on Canvas on your phone. And so students can look at lectures, read things from their phone while they're on the bus, trying, or, you know, whatever they are. We have to do that technology. Bruce and I will tell you, online classes are not ideal. It's those students, I have an online stats class right now. I got like 3 A's and then probably 2 D's and an F because it's not for everybody. So you just have to find a need or find a student who wants it.
I don't really have a question. I just wanted to thank you for being here today. I went to ICC, as did my wife, and then we went on to Bradley and ISU. Yeah, did very well. Great experience. It prepared us, you know, for going on, you know, to a four-year university. My wife's been at Bradley now for close to 20 years, and she does teaching.
Right.
She's teaching and she's in admin, but both of us over the years have. Can you go walk over there? But I think even with her experience at Bradley and in other places, and we're as proud of ICC as anything. ICC, everybody talks about Caterpillar, OSF, in Central Illinois. ICC is just a gem. People don't realize the resource that's here, and for us over the years, just we've had nephews, nieces, kids go through programs there, whether it's the schooling, art classes for us, you know, just taking things. And just the programs you've added and the partnerships with different, with HVAC and Caterpillar and different things has been wonderful. So to see you guys grow and thrive is just a wonderful thing for us. And as a business owner myself, I've known for years I need to start getting involved more at ICC on some of the partnership things and stuff. But I just want to say kudos to you guys at ICC. You guys are doing everything right now. So
Thank you very much.
I think I've got just a quick question you might have already answered. One of your early slides was the student profile, intended outcomes. There's almost 20% other. Is that the certificates you're talking about? And what's the other comprised?
The other could be those certificates. It could be some of the students don't know where they're tracking as well. So it's just a matter of process. They may come to us and not sure what that next pathway is. And that's where the intrusive advising, the advising model we're shifting is important. Our systems and tracking, Scott referenced the ERP system. That's our comprehensive technology systems. We're enhancing those systems too, so we have better data, we have better tracking, and so we can keep track of our students. And trying to do, again, be efficient with our students and create those pathways, and the efficient pathways for those students to get to the next step. And I think as we see of this credentialing, the micro-credentialing, micro-pathways, I think they'll feel, so we won't lose as many students. We feel like we're going to get a better retention rates because they're going to see their point of success. I'm going to get to this point first, instead of creating this aspiration that I have to go through and I have to go all the way to a 4-year school and be X. I'm not sure what I want to be yet. But that micro-credentialing, that pathways piece, you can still be viable, you can still be contributing and finding your way as you go as well. So I think there's a combination of things that will help. Some of that is the undecided, as well as the micro-credentialing. I just want to go back and get this skill set. So I want to take an art class or some of those pieces as well.
So thank you, Bruce, for being here and saying hi to you again. Thank you for sharing. I knew ICC was a gift, but I had no idea how you were adapting and changing from, I graduated master's degree in the 70s. So it's really refreshing to see how the changes. I have one question. I live over there in Fond du Lac, and I cut through ICC to go to Menards. And you have,
Can we have a toll?
and you have a water area, a pond, and you have like a restroom or amphitheater pavilion. I just wonder what it was. Again, thank you for being here.
You bet. Thanks for asking, because this is my expertise here, because it's all these things. Actually, we're reclaiming, we're doing some really exciting things with our ag programs, as well as sustainability on campus. And part of that, Bob, is really capturing some of the sustainability from a pond perspective. So that was a pond, it was a retention pond. So it was just water runoff from our ag fields or from our parking lots. So what we're doing now is actually doing some testing that really, again, from a community college standpoint, sets us apart. And we created a wetland right across the pond and right across next to our ag fields. And our ag fields are monitoring nitrogen runoff and other nutrient runoff. And so as we're monitoring that at different stages through the fields and through the tiling we put in place, and into the wetland, we measure before the wetland, we measure after the wetland, and we're going to be doing some measurements in the pond itself. And we're actually going to create a floating wetland as a new technology kind of application that might be something that we can extend to other farmers and other things too, to enhance and clean water as it goes into the water table. So before it runs off into the storm sewers and into the river, we're cleaning it up before it gets there and monitoring and measuring the effectiveness of that as well. So that's one of those applications. We're also then showcasing that as an outside classroom with various prairies. We have the savanna prairies and different plantings that our ag and hort programs will use in teaching in the classroom setting too. So it's really, really pretty interesting. As that matures a little bit more, we'll be able to do that. And that amphitheater is for an outside classroom and also for outside yoga and other things as well. So, I think it'll be a nice community enhancement to that space as well. So thank you for asking the question.
So just to follow up to that, I think what Bob wants to know is if the pond is stocked. He does a fishes and loaves and fishes on sides, and we're running low on fish. Is that what we're thinking?
We haven't put any new fish in yet, and I don't know that I would eat anything that came out of it. So now we did dredge that.
To
disclose your bias before you say that.
Yeah, wait a minute, I'm not gonna let Bruce leave before saying this. You guys all heard about the great things about ICC. Bruce is, about 6 years now I've worked with Bruce on various things. This guy's one of the top professionals I've ever worked with in my career. So thank you, Bruce, for everything you do for ICC in our community.
There'll be a kiss-up tool on that one, donation.
I also want to share with you that Scott has shared with us how generous you are in your pay packages.
No, he never said that.
Thank you all very much.